Hello, welcome to the daily Forex report for May 17th. We're looking at the U.S.-Japanese yen pair. Pair surged to the downside, closed lower, closed below previous areas of support. Looks like it's trying to retrace right now. Look for this pair to potentially go as high as 80.72, possibly as low as 78.40. Look for some resistance around 79.75, and look for some support around 7900. Or 79.00 rather. Let's take a look at the Euro-USD pair. This pair continues to move to the downside, although the past two sessions have been fairly light. Definitely not the strong moves that we've seen in the past, over the past couple of sessions here. So we'll have to see if we get a pullback during this next session or not. Definitely a potential pullback and then pushing lower. So definitely keep an eye on this pair. We are looking for it, however, to potentially, on a reversal, go up to 1.2803, possibly as low as 1.2580. Look for some resistance around 1.2760, and look for some support around 1.2650. Now the pound-US dollar pair continues to move to the downside. Had its third strong day in a row to the downside. Broke through previous areas of support, closed below them, broke through a trend line that was support. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. Definitely moving to the downside. However, if we get a reversal, potentially going as high as 159.83, possibly as low as 156.61. Look for some resistance around 158.75. and look for some support around 157.50. Now the US Swiss, this pair continues to move to the upside. Past two sessions have been fairly light. Let's see if we get a strong move to the upside. It'd be interesting to see that as we close out the week. We are looking for it to potentially go as high as 0.9523, possibly as low as 0.9379. Look for some resistance around 0.9485 and look for some support around 0.9415. Okay, now as far as news announcements go, we do have a few news announcements. At 2 a.m. Eastern, we have the German producer's price being released for April. Of course, that will affect the euro. Consensus on that one is that it has dropped a little bit from 3.3% down to 2.5%. Then we have the Bank of Canada releasing their consumer price index for April. That's being released at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Look for that to come out at the same as the previous, at 1.9%. Okay, what am I looking for during this next session? Well, we talked about the pound yesterday. Let me zoom out a little bit. Still looking for it to move lower. We definitely have room for it to do so, especially if you look over the past couple of months. We talked about this trend line and it touching it and pulling back prior to the close. Of course, it moved strong to the downside, basically broke through our exit for that one, and now has continued even lower. Next area to look for, if you notice, we have broke through this area. We have support, a little bit of support here, but if you notice 1, 2, 3 times, almost 4 times there, it was resistance. And we know that resistance becomes support, support becomes resistance as the market flows. Well, the next question is, where's the next area of support and or resistance that we can look for to potentially see where this thing might pull back a little bit? Well, I would look right in this area. The reason for that, we have support over several sessions, support, even though it broke through and closed below it, and we have resistance here, support. There's just a lot of evidence that this is the next area that it could run down to. We've already broken through the 157.67 mark, and to get down to the 156.59 mark, I could definitely see that happening during this next session. We will be going through a 0.0 mark to get there, but that may not be that big of a deal. We've blown through them before. You can see during today's session, total range was over 137 pips. Open to close was about 113. If we did open to close at 113, that means, assuming it's the same, you'd be looking right around the 56.83 mark. Definitely within the range as far as the full range, exiting about 134 pips to the downside. You can see that happening. Definitely look for it to happen. Now, if you want to get a little bit closer view of this move, drop down to the 15-minute bar and zoom out a little bit. You'll be able to get a better feel for it. You can see that we had a fairly strong support where we were at the trend line. Here's the trend line. You can see that we had several 15-minute bars that formed support. If you want to make this trade, if you had used this, put your stop loss right here and looked for a close below it to go short, your risk to reward would have been just very large on this one. So to kind of look at what we're looking at now, you could use that very similar scenario. Look for an area that has some either consolidation or runs in an area that runs into support, and you'll see the market move sideways. And then as it drops, once you get a confirmation of it dropping below and closing below that level, you can put your stop loss just above it and look for it to come on down to this area and exit. Well, I hope that helps, and until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.